Okay, I may be exaggerating the title a little bit, but I'm not completely on the Pixar sucks now train. However, the first trailer for Inside Out 2 came out and I need to talk about it. So, if you don't already know, which you definitely don't, Inside Out is one of, if not my absolute favourite movie of all time. I have no idea exactly how many times I've seen the movie, but I've seen it enough that I've pretty much memorised the entire script from start to finish. I have plushies of all of the main characters, I have read the book of the film, I met Joy and Sadness at Disney World, I played the Disney Infinity game, I had Inside Out t-shirts, pyjamas, bed sheets, calendars, and birthday cakes. I cannot exaggerate how much this movie means to me. Before Inside Out, the only Pixar movie I remember having seen was Monsters University, and I could barely remember what happened in that film at the time. So, Inside Out was essentially my introduction to Pixar, and I am so glad that it was. You can say what you want about it, but Inside Out was my Roman Empire. It changed my life. I think one of the things that makes Inside Out and a lot of other Pixar movies so comforting to me is the message that I learned from them. There's something so endearing about an animated character experiencing things and getting across specific morals that they know the audience can benefit from. The moral of Inside Out is it's okay to not be okay. And no, that doesn't mean you should be sad, it means it's okay to be sad. And this was something that I needed in my life, because I was not okay. I was having a rough time at school, I was struggling with friendships, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. Then this little movie comes along and suddenly I understand a whole lot more about my emotions. This movie helped me. This movie not only brought joy into my life, but it also brought joy into my life. Even all these years later, Joy is still my favourite Pixar character of all time. Also, she is not the villain of the movie. She is a character who goes on a journey and, along with the audience, learns about the importance of sadness. And she did not kill Bing Bong. And you're lying if you say you don't sob every time you watch this scene.
Take her to the moon for me, okay?
So anyway, Inside Out 2 is officially coming out next year, almost exactly 9 years after the first film, and all we know from the teaser is that Riley is growing up, she is going through some changes, and of course she's got new emotions. The only one we're introduced to in the teaser is anxiety, but I've also heard of shame, lust and envy also making their debut. This of course has raised a couple of eyebrows because at the end of the first movie all of the other headquarters we see only have the same 5 emotions as Riley: joy, sadness, fear, disgust and anger. But if you ask me, I don't care. Like, the last line of Inside Out is literally,
after all, Riley's 12 now. What could happen?
This can happen. I'm obviously very excited for this movie, not only because, you know, it's Inside Out 2, but also because now when I search up Inside Out 2, this is not the first thing that pops up. Anyone else remember being traumatised by this thing when it first came out? But the point of this video is to ask the question, can Inside Out 2 save Pixar? Yes, okay, but why and how? Just to be clear, I'm going to put it out here now, there is not a single Pixar movie that I straight up dislike. There are some that I don't like as much as others, but there aren't any that I hate. There is of course the argument that Disney has become quote-unquote woke in recent years, which I don't agree with as an activist, but that's one of the reasons that some people don't think Inside Out 2 is a good idea. For example, there were people mad about Soul being too deep, Lightyear having a same-sex kiss, and Turning Red talking about menstruation, but the thing is, these are all things that happen. I'd rather have Pixar take risks than play it safe. Elemental bombed at the box office, but it actually has a lot of heart and humour. I just think the story has been done a million times before. It just needed an extra something, and it would have become an instant classic. On IMDb, everything past Toy Story 3 seems to be a roller coaster. The only movies after Toy Story 3 that have a score higher than 8 are Inside Out, Coco and Soul. Now, Inside Out 2 is the first Pixar sequel for 5 years, and I think one of the reasons that Pixar isn't as worshipped as they once were is because of how badly the pandemic screwed up their plans. I'm pretty sure Soul, Luca and Turning Red all would have done a lot better had they been released in the cinema. Of course that could happen, but one of the things that really turned people against Pixar was the fact that Pixar's grand return to the theatre was with Lightyear. Now, I personally think people were a little bit too hard on Lightyear. I don't think it's that bad, I just think it is a little bit boring, as well as an obvious cash grab. This is not Buzz Lightyear. This is Buzz Lightyear. Naming a character Buzz Lightyear will not make people automatically accept them as Buzz Lightyear. Like, I could make a movie about a police officer who moves to a new city and has to solve a case alongside a slick scam artist, name the main characters Alyssa Daniels and Ethan Mapp, and no one would blink an eye. One of the reasons people were upset with Lightyear is because it was called Lightyear. If it had been a separate movie about a spaceman going on an adventure, then I don't think people would have been so pressed. Not to mention that people wouldn't be mad at the continuity error, including Zurg being an older version of Buzz, even though we were established in Toy Story 2 that...
No, Buzz. I am your father.
No! You could argue that Inside Out doesn't need a sequel, and I can totally understand where you're coming from, but I think we can all agree that we'd rather see an Inside Out 2 than Toy Story 5 or Cars 4. And this teaser trailer looks promising. It doesn't go overboard with the jokes, the story, well, what we know of it at least, is relevant, and the animation is beautiful. I personally think it's good that Pixar is going back to doing something that they know they can do. Most of the time. I think we should all give Inside Out 2 a chance. Yes, it might not be as good as the original, and yes, it sucks that we don't have Bill Hader and Mindy Kaling anymore, but after a less than exceptional 5 years since the last less than exceptional Pixar sequel, Inside Out 2 could be very well what Pixar and Disney are looking for to win people back. I reckon, with the correct amount of humour, mixed with the correct amount of heart, we could enter a new golden era of Pixar. And I just realised that I haven't mentioned Elio, but I have no clue what that is about, and so I can't tell if that's going to be any good or not. I'm intrigued to find out more about Inside Out 2 between now and July next year, and if you would like me to write a review on the movie when it comes out, then please let me know. I'm just praying to the Pixar gods that this movie is not a huge disappointment, because if it is, I will not be happy, but I'm keeping my hopes up because the trailer does have some genuinely funny moments, and it does make us want to see more, which is exactly what a good teaser should do. We were teased with the puberty button at the end of the first movie, and, well, now we'll get to see what happens when it comes into effect, because the construction workers breaking into headquarters and wrecking everything just makes complete sense, because your mind really becomes messed up during puberty. It just does. What do you think of Inside Out 2? Are you looking forward to it? Are you not? If not, why? What's your favourite Pixar movie? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.